Hi friends, I'm Kernal Failure and this is Kerbal Space Program. Well, it's the Kernal Space Program. And today we're doing something a little different. We're going off on a couple of side missions here in order to, well, hopefully earn a bit of science and secondly, earn some cash. We've done reasonably well of late. We've completed some of the bigger contracts out there to kind of elevate our... what's the word I'm after here? Elevate our progress. There you go. Elevate our progress up to the next level. So I did a bit of poking around. Now, I know I haven't been chasing the old tutorials there, but I went looking for some just on the off chance that I was missing a trick to make some really... Well, obviously I was missing a trick to make some really easy science and cash. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to build actually a ground vehicle. I know we're in the space plane hangar here, but this thing is not going to take off. At least not if I've got anything to say about it. So the first order of business is to build ourselves a bit of fuselage there, slap a bit of a jet engine on the back, probably give it some wheels in a minute. I'll get round to it, I'm sure. In case you hadn't already noticed, I am recording the commentary for this after having edited down what amounts to around 2 hours worth of tinkering about with the Kernal Space Program there. So here's our first endeavour. If I can just slap a cheeky nose wheel on here. Marvellous, doesn't it look something? Looks like it reminds me of a little dog, and therefore it is a little dog. Attempted to put a fin on the back, I think, to give it a bit of extra steering oomph. I don't know whether it's going to accomplish anything or not. I mean, there you go. Look, I think that adds to the overall ambience of the thing rather splendidly. It's a bit big, maybe, but I don't see that as being too much of a problem. Anyway, if we slap some science whatnots on here, then everything should be absolutely peachy. Now we're going to pilot this with a scientist. I think I've got one, because they can hop out of the hatch and reset all the different experiments that we've done, so we can run them multiple times, and therefore go on a bit of a tour of our complex in order to get maximum bucks. Well, I say bucks, science. Science is fundamentally what we're after. Anyway, this is going to be the Pingu. Is the class of car. I use the term loosely, but this is the Pingu Explorer, which will be helping us to accomplish really quite tremendous things in the hope that we can do some splendid science. Yes, I think I've called it Cerberus. No, I think I end up calling it Pingu. Cerberus is perhaps just a smidge too overzealous as far as names are concerned. So yeah, what are we doing now? What's going on here? I haven't edited anything. What are we? Come on, we're about ready to go, aren't we? What else could I possibly need? I've got a fuel tank. I've got a jet engine. Everything should be absolutely splendid. See, I recall having done all of this business, and I know I've got a good idea of what's coming up. But no, what am I? Why am I tinkering around here with? Yeah, just go launch the thing, you clown. There we go. That's it. Push the correct button, and we'll head out to the old launch pad there and take it for a little tootle, which is the whole point of putting it together in the first place. Right, there we go. For some reason, it's put me on the rocket launch pad. Bit of a worry. But I'm sure we'll be fine. Let's take a quick check of the goo. Oh yeah, goo's giving us plenty of information there. Let's stash that, and then we'll take the temperature. Not entirely sure what this lowrider-esque bouncing is all about. Evidently, I've created some kind of perpetual motion machine, which is causing us just a little bit of agitation. Either that, or we're just having a rare old time, and we're giddy with excitement, and therefore we're just kind of we're now clinging on to the outside, and therefore the bouncing is going to make that all the more challenging. I think I should get bonus points for being able to hang on to the outside of the car while investigating the science. Any sensible person, of course, would just get out and and go from there. But sense is not something with which I have an overabundance of. Good. Yep. Keep the experiment. Get back in the hatch. Now we're going to do it a couple of times. We now seem to be rolling backwards a little bit. Is that something we should be concerned about? Well, who really knows? Anyway, that's good. Grab the science. Yeah, grab the science from there. We seem to be grabbing the science repeatedly because of reasons, one would imagine. Right, where's the button to get back on board? We all know that you press B to get back on board, but there it is. And you can't actually keep the experiments. Well, whatever. We'll take the data that we've got, because we've got some of the data. Right, let's get out of here and throttle up. Yeah, no throttle up. See, what I've failed to do at this stage is, okay, we had a bit of a backfire there. Is acknowledge that we need an air intake in order for this to work perfectly. Yeah, nice shot of the snoz there. That's nice. Okay, right. Well, let's go back to the hangar and give it a tweak. I mean, nobody died, so that's something. Right, air intake. Air intake is that no. No, that's a wing. No, you want an air intake for your jet engine. Right, we've got a bit of fuselage there. No, that's too big. I reckon if we stick an air intake on there, wang the engine on the back of it, when I can figure out where the engine sits exactly. Okay, we can stick the engine on there, I suppose, and then just assume it's going to work. I mean, that's quite a stylish piece, but arguably it's a little too large. Right. Now then, I want to take this piece off the side. I just want to take... Never mind. Throw the whole thing away. Let's do it again. Right. We'll go with this piece of scaffolding as a central resort. There you go. Beefy. Oh, yes. Oh, now you're talking. Now you've got something that looks like it might go places. If I put this streamlining on there... No, it doesn't fit. The air intakes at this point do look like they are rather suspended just through optimism rather than anything else. Twin fuel tanks, twin engines. This is quite the vehicle. Oh yeah, and with the splayed out sporty wheels going on there on the back, I think we've really got something to be proud of. Right, bang on some goo. We've got everything else on there already. This is now the Cerberus Mark II. I ended up calling this Cerberus. Well, it does look a bit like a dog. Anyway, there we go. That's more like it. It stuck us on the runway this time. It clearly knows what it's doing. Check the goo. Is it still in the pod? Yes, it is. Take that data. Because this is all about the science. Science is what we're all about. What we want is science. Please give us some science. That would be absolutely splendid there. And we'll take the pressure and the temperature as well. That's all good. Are we going to EVA now and reset them, or do it later? No, we'll do it now. Why not? Why not indeed? You see, I actually packed 2 of the goo containers this time, thinking that I can leave one of them alone. We are now bouncing backwards down the runway at a fair lick, it has to be said. We should probably get on board and fire up the thrusters. There you go, thrusters on. Air intake's working perfectly. There we go. Now, I might be doing maybe too much of a clip here to, yeah, see, it's not really, oh dear. Oh, that's gone quite badly wrong. I think we're probably shielded from the worst of it there, but we have landed the wrong way up. It's okay, it's only a fuel tank that's exploded about 3 feet from my head. I've had worse. I'm sure it'll be peachy. Right, okay, we need to go and do a couple more adjustments to this to make it work. And here we are, post adjustments. Pretty much the same thing, but I added a bit of downforce, see? I put some wings on there to aid in the stability when I try and take a corner too fast. Ha ha ha. See, I clearly thought that through. We're going to take the same science again? No, we're not. We're just going straight into driving mode. And this time, we're going to be just a little bit more reserved in our manoeuvring. Now, this is somewhat accelerated footage that you've got going on here. So this is not moving in real time. The up and down motion of the vehicle should give you a fair idea of how sped up it is. But the tutorial that I read told me that basically every one of the different buildings in your astronaut complex has counts as a different biome. So you can take a reading from each one and get free science effectively. So I built myself a little trundle buggy here in order to benefit from that. So we grab the science at each one, reset all of the various marvellous experiments that we're conducting, and we're going backwards. That's it, give it a bit of thrust there. Where are we going next? Go and check out the radar system here. That's all good. Try not to drive into it though. Now it's around this point that I kind of figure, hold on, I don't actually have any brakes, and while on the slope I went, well, can we use a slope to slow down? And then I also noticed that if we EVA, the vehicle does gradually come to a halt. So my plan at the moment is basically to fling myself out of the car and wait for it to just, calm down, get a grip, and basically cease what it's doing. But we're just basically going on a little jaunt, and it's very nice. It's a sunny kind of a day, but then every day is a sunny kind of a day when it's daytime. In the evening, also sunny but darker. And that doesn't make for quite such compelling viewing. So we've shut the engines off, and we've still got a little bit of vibration, or it's not you, it's me, vibration-oriented movement. So we get out and go for a stroll, like this. There you go. See, going for a stroll, and that's all good. And this, of course, is Professor Science who's doing the work for us here. For he is the only one with the special screwdriver that you need to reset the science. You can take your helmet off, Gov. You'll be fine. All right, he's taking a quick report from this strange alien world, and there you go. Helmet off, making himself comfortable. He's going to enjoy himself here if he can just retrieve his dog that is currently running away from him backwards. Yeah, well, these things happen, I suppose. And go on, put some pursuit in, or are you just going? No, that's it. Just recover the vehicle. That'll do. Yeah, that's fine. So that netted me somewhere in the region of 50, 60 science, something like that. It was really quite successful. I invested the points from that. I'll get to it in a minute, but I'm clairvoyant, you see. I know what's coming up. Well, I'm not clairvoyant, I've got a memory, and sometimes it doesn't completely fail me. We invest the points from that into the ability to do more science, because, firstly, it unlocks a bit more of the tree, and we want our tree unlocked. We don't want it all locked up and kept somewhere safe and what have you. There you go, look at all that science. Science aplenty. Yes, they call me Mr. Science. That's pretty weak, but the best I could do on short notice. So right, okay, we're done with space planing for now. The other tip that I picked up was that I can breeze through all of the test part launches that I need to do. The first of which is to take a decoupler. Don't actually decouple anything with it. Land it in the water and then fire it once you've landed in the water. Well, that doesn't sound too hard, does it? I mean, that seems relatively straightforward, to land the thing in the drink. I've done that on numerous occasions, so it really doesn't seem that challenging. The other one that I've still got going on, or I'm about to pick up, can't remember which it is to take a parachute with me. Well, I mean, that's a foregone conclusion, really. Parachutes, I've learned from an early age that taking a parachute with you is a sensible thing to do if you want to come back alive. So that's all fine. Right, okay, we'll sling ourselves a little puddle jumper together. It doesn't need to be anything more robust than something that just goes up, out a bit, and then splashy. Katniss obviously is standing by to fly the beast. When I say beast, it's not actually that beastie. You see that decoupling ring you've got there? It's a bit big. you could quite easily pass the crew hatch directly through it, but it seems to fit anyway. And here's the rocket that we're going for today. It's it's compact, bijou, and probably unlike the era where this style of rocket would actually have suited what I was up to. I've gone with something uncomplicated and really rather charming. Is this the one I call a Pingu? I think the Cerberus was perhaps there we go. This is a Pingu. The Cerberus was perhaps a somewhat highfalutin title for this. Anyway, blast off and so forth. All we've got to do is just fly it over the sea, and we'll be able to complete the mission. And there goes the end of the fuel there. So there we go. Out of fuel the second we take off. I don't think we've quite got the velocity here. Let's fire that bit away. Got a bit of a spin going on, but that's okay too. We're barely off the ground, frankly. So cut to the chase, where we're now parachuting into, I'm going to call it glory, but that would be a bit of an overestimate. And to cut a long story short, no, we don't quite manage to land in the sea on this one. No, simple task, completely made a mess of it. No, it didn't work at all. So here we are now on the second launch of this one, and I slightly more aggressively fueled up and then angled myself over the splashy stuff in order to make this work. See, that's what you do second time around. Anyway, out of fuel again, but for sentimental reasons I'm keeping the rocket. No, we'll chuck that one away, and this time we should land without any issues whatsoever. Katniss, of course, is racking up the air miles while she does all of these bits and pieces of missions, which is good. I mean, she's our she's our only pilot after Tanrod had a moment. So here we are now coming into land in the Big Blue, and for some reason I thought that you might want to see all of this landing, which seems excessive. Given that, I mean, you can tell what's going to happen. I mean, at some point in the next 3/4 of an hour, we're just going to land in the drink, and that should all just work out nicely. And there we go. Look, plop, I think is probably the appropriate word to use there. So the second thing that I learned, or is it the third? The third, that's a bit wobbly. That's probably fine. The third thing that I decided to go with was taking some passengers into a suborbital flight. Now, the observant amongst you may notice that I've got the heat shield on the nose there. Now, we know that the heat shield is not necessarily the most aerodynamic piece you can stick on the nose of your rocket, but that's okay, because basically when we come back in from orbit, we are going to hang on a tick. Yeah, you see, that's not really gone properly, has it? I mean, I've got all the confidence in the world that Katniss can hold this together, but this rocket does have a little bit of an attitude problem. We've got 4 passengers on board, and they all think this is normal. And providing Katniss can keep her head together and convince them that yes, she does know what she's doing, then everything will be fine. We should probably get rid of those. Yeah, something big just fell off. That is probably nothing. We've also got the science module up front, which I can tell you, in retrospect, is quite heavy. Yeah, it's quite a heavy science module, but you can see already that it wants to go in nose first. Now you could say, well, that's probably because you put the heat shield on the nose. And I kind of go, well, I can't necessarily argue against that. Regardless, however, it does fly a bit. Not this time, obviously, but it does fly a bit, and therefore having the heat shield on the nose is a very good thing. And now with the triple chute configuration that we've got going on, so I'm even checking the science just because we're in the area. Figured might as well. Let's see if we can learn some things. The more sensible thing on my part to do would have been to go with one cabin. Here's the new design. One of the things I unlocked in my science was these launch struts. Smart, see? Keep the whole thing together. Let's make sure we've got everything in the right order. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, the smart thing to do would have been to go with a single passenger bay to start with, but no, I've opted to go with multiple passenger bays so that I can do multiple missions at once. Anyway, feel safe. I think we're about ready for takeoff. There we go. Lovely, lovely job. Straight up, like an arrow, or indeed a rocket, would fly straight up if it was being propelled by several tons of high explosive. But this time it looks far more reasonable. Now, we only need a suborbital flight to tick the boxes of these folks, although one of them, I think, wants an actual... Oh, dear. That means falling off. Now, our space cigar here is just pivoting around. Now, if I'd looked at this properly at the time, and let me just tell you, I didn't, I'd have noticed that it was kind of penduluming there a little bit with the heavy bit. I think my heat shield fell off. Okay, these things happen, but Katniss has got it under control. She's now pointing us skywards, and obviously, because there's nothing aerodynamic on this, it's just kind of going, no, the top end's heavy, man. We'll point straight back down, and at 6,500 meters above sea level, you probably want to get shot at the engine. Of course, before doing that, I probably should have shut the engine off, because now the engine doesn't detach at all, which makes me just ever so slightly concerned for the safety not only of the passengers, but more importantly, my one and only pilot, who happens to have some experience. There we go, finally got shot of that, and doesn't it look very safe indeed? Well, it does. Look at it. And the other thing, you might not have noticed it, but I did try and calm the engine down a little bit while we were airborne. Yeah, sure. Let's do some science while we're plummeting towards the ocean. Yeah, I don't see why not. Yeah, did attempt to control the engines after separating it from the main body of the craft, but bizarrely, it didn't work. No, it genuinely didn't. So yeah, I mean, this is supposed to be a money-making endeavour, but I figured that it was the three-engine approach that was causing me the majority of my problems, rather than what was actually causing the majority of my problems, and that is having a heat shield right on the nose of the ship, and the whole thing being really, really, really heavy. Now, the fix for that would be to move your science bay back in the assembly a little bit, because it's quite weighty, slap the heat shield on the end of that, and then everything would be fine. But I've got total belief in Katniss and in this design, which is far more traditional. We do have a stage 2 rocket engine in here as well, I believe. Yep, we have got a stage 2 rocket in here too. So once we actually manage to break atmosphere, we should be able to orbit the planet with very little problem at all. And you can see already that, hold on, I take it back. I was about to say it's flying much better this time. It's not flying much better this time. This one is just as wobbly as the previous ones were. Okay, now what happened there when the solid rocket boosters separated was, you can see there drifting off to the right, that's the crew cabin, and that's a problem because it means that my passengers probably aren't going to make it. The good news is that they've got the parachutes, so if I can trigger those, which I can't, then they'll be fine. The bad news is that Katniss doesn't have a parachute. Got a heat shield, which is super. Not a parachute, though. Anyway, we can see the other parts of the rocket now descending towards the ground. And maybe they'll be fine. We've got the contract open in the top right there. They're coming in for a gentle landing now. No, they're dead. Okay, well, I mean, I've only failed the mission. It's not complete catastrophe because I could always take another mission. Yeah, let's just clear the mission stuff off. I got some time while we gently float like a feather down towards the sea. I mean, it's a sea landing. We might be okay. Maybe the goo will protect us when we come in. Then again, maybe it won't. So there you go. That's what I did on my holidays. That's about 2 hours worth of Kernal Space Programming there, aiming to make some progress in between episodes. And well, I didn't so much make. I unlocked some more stuff, but I killed my best pilot and several passengers. We'll be back to a normal kind of episode next week because, frankly, it can't go any worse than this one. So I think we'll go back to business as usual. Anyway, I've been Colonel Failure, and this series exists because you asked for it, and I'm relatively certain that I'm delivering on what you'd hoped for. Anyway, thanks for your support. I'll be back next week with more of the same. Thanks for watching. Cheerio.